Yo, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the MiRecap. It's your boy. I just said hi to someone here. We're actually at rehearsals.
Just like zoom in on him. Just real quick, just like.
So, we're currently actually at rehearsals for an event. If you guys don't know, it's like the Galaxy Arena, I think Galaxy Series, Campus Series. So that's why we're doing this in a fucking mall. What?
Isn't that Galaxy Academy?
Galaxy Academy, something of the sorts, all right? But that's why we're doing it here, and that's why we have some drinks with us, and we're not in the usual setup, and we only have two guys. Usually there's Realize, but unfortunately, it's just two of us casting for this event, so that's why we're doing, all right? So all the questions in the comments, done, answered.
So if you see Mirko and like another guy just randomly squatting somewhere in a mall, that's probably a recording going on, bro.
Exactly. Rehearsing. We're not squatting. We're like
table.
in a corner, far corner of like a food court. Kinda. We got people looking at us funny, but it's all good. Welcome to the MiRecap. All right. Let's talk about some of these topics, boys, because we got some pretty big topics, honestly. Looking at MPLID, we just wrapped up literally not even a week ago. It's like a few days ago, we just wrapped up. ONIC 1. We're going to go first, we're going to start from the beginning, which is, I think, the biggest topic of day one is probably just the choke of Bigatron.
Yeah, not much to say about that, man. How do they keep doing it? I don't understand. It really feels like I'm not trying to play the blame game here, but if you had to list some factors, I feel like the draft is somewhere up there, and I feel like that's unfortunately that's a recurring situation here. I think in MPLID, sometimes the draft is just confusing, man, and that tracks all the way back to M1. Sometimes just the draft.
Yeah. I agree. Obviously, we can also say that the players underperformed, right? Obviously, but really, I'm not someone who wants to blame just the coaching staff fully. You know, sometimes because most of the times, obviously, it's a whole team effort. It's never just one guy in the coach that makes the decision, because technically the players have a say too, and the players technically agreed to whatever was banned out or was the final choice for the coaching staff. The drafts were horrible, okay? I think I was very vocal already. I posted a lot of shit. You guys watched the vlogs as well. At least I hope you guys watched the vlogs. We were bashing the drafts like there was no tomorrow, bro. That draft, I think game 3 to 5, especially when they picked 1-1, last pick red on first phase, and then they decided to ban carry. And what was Badang and carry over an Irithel. I remember at when they picked 1-1, I was messaging my friend Ferdy, and also a BTR fan. I was legit telling him this is going to be an Irithel ban for sure.
Yeah.
Irithel and Farsa.
We said so on panel as well, by the way. Yeah, we did.
So then they banned out the Badang, and I'm like, oh shit, all right, Badang, fine. They're going to ban out Irithel next. Then they banned out carry. And I knew at that point, we're cooked. It's either Alter Ego pull a bigger fumble by not picking up the Irithel, or they pick up Irithel and win. What's crazy is the fact that Alter Ego almost threw that game. It was a generational throw into a win almost for Bigatron, but then they recovered because obviously it was a full counter pick draft, dude. There's not much you can do. So Bigatron draft definitely needs to be fixed. I don't know whose idea Baratz was and Florin. That was a fucking rank game choice, and it was horrible, all right? Like, if this continues, guys, Bigatron won't just be trophyless for 15 seasons. Bigatron will be trophyless forever, up until... Well, technically, it's already forever, because I'm not even sure if Bigatron will be Bigatron next year. It might be Vitality. Bigatron's done.
Right, that's a fair point. And again, we don't want to blame, but I don't know if it worked. Even if it worked, we would have still been like, okay, that worked, but like that really wasn't ideal at all. And for me personally, the really unfortunate part, again, not trying to bash or anything, but I feel like that performance kind of took away credibility, almost took away aura. For you young kids out there, it just took away so much from both teams. Because even if Bigatron won, even if Alter Ego won, by that point everyone's like, what is this? Bro, it's wild. Like, I remember being on panel, and I saw, Bigatron 2 wins, right? And at that point, like
2-0.
Yeah, they're 2-0 already, and I'm like, okay, cool, they're gonna get this done. And then like the way that they start losing, it wasn't. I can't even be happy for Alter Ego, because the way they lost really felt like it's like them versus themselves. It wasn't like Alter Ego doing crazy stuff. It's like Bigatron doing stuff that we just cannot wrap our heads around. And in that way, Bigatron looks bad because they were losing and they I guess you can say misdraft. But then Alter Ego also looked bad because then they were winning, but like they were winning with effort against a draft that we consider not so good. So I feel like that was just a rough situation overall, man. I recall the panel, not just me, the whole panel overall being like, well, dang, this is difficult because we can't hype up either team.
Yeah.
And that's made things really weird, like legit.
Okay, I think we're done with Bigachoke. Unfortunate, you know. This background is as empty as the Bigatron trophy cabinet. Yeah, exactly. And that's why we're going to move on to the next topic, which is going to be pretty good, in my opinion. I would say this is probably the only other team. There are three teams that I want to talk about over Bigatron, obviously. Geek Fam. I think we ignore Alter Ego because Alter Ego, I think, had a playoffs where it was just expected, but also not in a way. Like the only surprising win they got was the win against Bigatron, and then maybe game one against RRQ. So I don't really want to talk about Alter Ego. I feel like they're a very mid team right now. They have a lot of potential, but coaching staff issues as well. I feel the drafts are pretty shit. A lot of times, it's very inconsistent. They have really good drafts, and sometimes, and they don't, and then they suddenly have really bad drafts, which makes me feel like Alter Ego are kind of like a template team, just like Bigatron. They have a template that they have before the game. You know, they've kind of worked on the draft. If it doesn't go as planned, then they fuck up in the improvisation. Yeah. Unlike the top coaches, again, for Geek Fam, for obviously ONIC and RRQ as well, they know what to pick, even when they're put in a tough spot, even when it doesn't go to template. So yeah, Alter Ego, not really going to talk much about that. All I want to say is Hijime and Dreams are clutch players. They're amazing. Rin is not a playoff player. He used to be an elo booster, and it shows in his gameplay. We've been saying this from regular season.
Why don't you say this?
Well, everybody knows he's an elo booster, was an elo booster, all right? And even though we can't say it, you guys would know anyways. Yeah, he's not that good in playoffs. I think he lost a lot of the... I think his gameplay, where like you win early game hard and then you just snowball out of control, or you lose early game or go level early game and then you don't know what to do, it was very visible in the playoffs. Like when he's ahead, he does really well. That's why when he gets the Baksha and wins the early game, he does really well up against Bigatron. But when he gets the Assassins, he just fights every single time. And it's like, sure, sometimes it can give you some crazy ass flashy plays, some good highlights. But in playoffs, up against the elite teams, you saw just how much he was exposed. So, yeah, unfortunate for this team, very young. Hijime and Dreams are the clutch factors. Probably going to see Alter Ego in this kind of position for a long time because they just need a better, I think, coaching team.
They have to develop it more, I think. Because like they have the ingredients, it seems like, but just haven't been able to combine them well or like, you know, lead the team into a good game plan. Because, yeah, again, it feels like they're not bad. It just really feels like they lack depth. You know, like it seems like when they do get what they want, game plans that they're familiar with, then it's smooth sailing. It's pretty good. It's cool. But then like, you know, in playoffs, you will not get your plan A's, man. You got to prepare your plan B's, plan C's, and not just have them ready, have them polished to add to playoffs level. Because we're just talking playoffs here. If they have their sights set on like internationals, they got to polish even more. So I guess that's where you can see like, I don't know, the weaknesses of teams exposed in the playoff session, even before talking about internationals.
There you go. That's enough for Alter Ego, I believe, man. Let's move on
you
to...
manually like timestamping?
Yeah, manually timestamping.
Damn.
Next, I think we got Geek Fam, bro. Like, we got to talk about Geek Fam. What happened? And I think, honestly, if I'm being honest with you guys, mechanically, macro, everything, even in the drafts, Geek Fam were the better team over RRQ. I stand by that. But mentally, they weren't. Mentally, they were pretty shit. Because obviously, they have two rookies. Yeah. What I'm surprised is, I expected maybe, you know, Kenzie or Kenzie or Make It to have that mental issue. But I didn't expect a veteran like ABOY to have that mental issue. Like, I don't want to point fingers and blame and, again, like, put all the hate onto one guy. Because obviously, it isn't. But it's also pretty glaring that ABOY was tilted. Like, we all know. It was very visible. I think even Beloy knew that. I think the whole team knew he was tilted. When would you ever see ABOY make that kind of mistake? Like, firstly, the first mistake was the Kimmy walking in. Like, just literally inting. right? It really looked like an int play. And then him tanking the turret, dying to the turret when the team was trying to go for more. Those two mistakes on the Kimmy led to RRQ coming back in game number 2. After that, we didn't get a boy in the mid lane. We got a kid.
The shadow of his former self.
Dude, he went 0-7-0 on Loyi. Like, I know having a bad game on Loyi is normal, but 0-7-0 bad? Like, he was cooked mentally there. He was done. Like, after game 2, he didn't want to play the game.
And to be fair, I feel like RRQ kind of smelled blood in the water, right? They saw like, oh, this guy is not doing well right now. Wait, this guy is like making mistakes. And I feel like I assumed that RRQ noticed that and he immediately was like, guys, glaring weakness, immediately like exploit it. Keep diving, keep baiting. And I think you saw that all the way to like that, I think the second from the final game, when the first Season Shin showed up, right? I've told this story multiple times, but Shevin saw a boy survive with a sliver of HP, saw Sujin walk into the bush, saw a boy walk up, and on panel, he was just like, no, no, no! Like, boom, Sujin. Absolute cinema, gets sniped, and Shevin was like, I don't believe this. How is this possible? And I have to agree, I mean, that was definitely surprising, because he used to be like the clutch guy, like, no matter how bad the game was, he was
the carry.
He would still find ways to not get shut down, to find something. But I feel like that surely has to be a combination of issues, man. I don't think a boy's the type of guy who would just crumble off like default pressure. I feel like it's a combination of like what was going on, having rookies, so he has to kind of step up even more. EWC being in the picture, and then against an RRQ who knows how to punish. I think we can all agree RRQ knows how to punish like bad gameplay, because you were saying they were like a textbook kind of gameplay, right? And textbook gameplay does really well against mistakes, because you limit your own mistakes, you let your enemy make the mistakes, and which is why they struggle against more like cleaner teams. So I feel like all that together really made a boy look, man, really really bad. Shevin put it best, but he was also saying like, dude, this game, it's not about which team's better, it's a mid-off. As in both mid laners playing mid. Because he saw Rins make crazy plays, fail, and then he see a boy also failing, and it's just a mid-off in Shevin's opinion, so shout out Shevin. But yeah, I feel like it's really unfortunate because they really had potential, right? If you look at the players, if we don't consider the pressure and all that, mechanically, hero pool-wise and all that, I feel like that was a really scary Geek Fam, and I personally was a bit concerned.
Yeah. I just feel really bad again for Beloy, for the rest of the team, because they did look so strong. Game 1 and Game 2, they looked like actual contenders to be able to maybe beat ONIC. I'm not even joking. Like, I was so impressed by how dominant they were in the early game, how fast they were able to develop their snowball, because usually when you think Geek Fam, you think about mid to late. You don't think about early game. So the fact that they were doing so well early mid made me think like, holy shit, if they're this strong early mid, what about mid to late? Like later on when it actually gets to their power spikes, their strong points. But yeah, it's unfortunate.
I wonder if that's also an issue, because again, a boy, was he like would you say he's a snowball type of mid laner? Right? He's always been like the safe, and then like get items, have 0 deaths, and carry the late game type of carry. I wonder if that plays a role in how like now that they're trying to pressure in the early game, making more risky moves. Maybe he's just less comfortable with that kind of playstyle. And playstyle aside, like it's the mindset as well, because I'm more of a safe mid laner myself, right? So when you put me on a hero like let's say like Kadita or something that has to be a bit more risky, you can ask Mirko. I end up making some bad like miscalculations just because I'm not used to it. I'm a lot more used to calculating like the dangers coming in rather than the dangers I'm walking into. So I do wonder if that is a factor. But either way, it doesn't give him a pass, unfortunately.
No, and for some reason, I don't know what it is, by the way, guys. If you guys are playing ranked, if you guys are playing MLBB at the highest level, you probably noticed that utility mids are just not working. Throughout the entire playoffs, I've just been shitting on Fairness, Jusin, mainly just utility picks, and saying, again, it's all about Farsa, Yves, Lo Yi. Those are the 3 picks that are really, really good, that can get you wins. And I think we got to see that, Everybody who picked Jusin ended up not doing too well. A boy, Geek Fam. Everybody who picked Fairness lost, except for Geek Fam up against Alter Ego, but I don't want to count that, because, again, it was more on Alter Ego being bad than Geek Fam being really good on Fairness.
Unfortunately.
So yeah, the fact that a boy also... Again, this is why I have to question if this is a coaching staff choice or if this was an ABOY choice. Was ABOY just not comfortable on Farsa Yves? Because it doesn't make sense. This is the guy who played Yves to knock ONIC out last season. This is the guy you would expect to be on the carries, who are now forced to play utility mids. That definitely needs to be questioned. The understanding of like damage carries way better than damage, utility. Mid utility. Because even we figured that out before playoffs. I was spamming it. I was yelling in the town room, yo, Faramis is shit. Whoever thinks Faramis is good is gonna lose. I legit said that to every analyst. Even if they don't agree, I would literally just bash them saying, yeah, you don't know the game. And hey, I turned out to be right. This is the meta right now. You have to play damage dealing mid laners. You cannot play utility mids. And that's why I got a question. What's up with Geek Fam? Why do they keep putting ABOY on utility mids? I think the only mid that can work for him is Jusin. Because sure, if they want to win early game, ABOY does okay with it. But the only one that I can really trust on Jusin, even here in this meta, is probably just Rinse.
Yeah.
Because his Jusin is good.
And that's not just because he's good on Jushin. It's because like the team, right, knows how to play using a Jushin. And again, I think it's just very situational. Like when Mirko was saying that it's just unplayable, I personally felt like there's some situations, of course, where it will work.
Yeah.
But
Not prio.
again,
By trash, I mean not prio. I have very black and white terms in my head. But yeah, not prio.
but I have to agree again. It's just like what are the odds, right? Of like the Faramis being the one thing that wins you the game. Even if it wins, I don't think it's a game changing factor. And right now, like with everyone's improving so much, every single role can be like a deciding factor. So why take the mid lane out of that equation, right? I think that's the way I see it. So yeah, this weird meta we're in right now. Throwback.
Weird meta indeed. We're going to move on now to RRQ. And this is going to be the big topic. So, I'll start things off by saying, oh, was that a choking emote?
No, it's just the pain.
But yeah, Arashi's an RRQ fan if you guys don't know. And this is the second time back-to-back. Technically third if you're talking Kescute, but second time for Kescute in RRQ, where he has won in the regular season, but he's lost in the playoffs, coming in second place again. Last season to Team Liquid ID, losing 4-3 as well. Now losing to ONIC 4-3.
And they're both reversals.
3-2, 4-3, 3-2, 4-3. It's the same pattern as well.
Is it actually? Exactly the same pattern?
3-2, 4-3. I think it was 3-2, 4-3 too. But
Oh my god.
even when he was in BTR, one regular season, but in the playoffs, fourth. So now I gotta say, firstly, was it Kescute's fault? I don't think so. Not entirely, obviously, because this is a team that obviously this team has always been very reliant on the Kescute system. I broke this down, I think, in the playoffs as well, where RRQ are very systemized. Like they have the Kescute system where it's really good for early game plays. When we're talking about Snowball in the early games, contesting the first few neutral objectives, up until like first, second Lord, or first Lord maybe, they're really good. I think no other team is better than them at doing that, especially when they get their comfort picks. But when it gets to the later game, and then, obviously the team fights become more sporadic, your rotations are way more sporadic as well. It's not as template, not as one-dimensional as, holding this position. Everybody needs to know how to improvise in every single, in different situations in the late game. That's where they crumble. That's where the players actually can't think as far as, the ONIC players or even the Geek Fam players in the late game. And luckily for them, they won again against Geek Fam in the early game for the most part. And then, a few comeback victories here and there. But going up against elite teams, Sutsujin, something that I have been, like a person who I have criticized before. I don't know if you guys remember, Mobile Masters Snapdragon Pro Series Grand Finals against ONIC Philippines. I said the same thing already. And I actually got a lot of hate from it from the Indonesian crowd. Everybody was like, oh my god, look, they're still number one in the regular season. I'm like, hey, listen. To the Clippers, clip this, okay? To the Indonesians bashing, the criticism was for Sutsujin against elite teams. We were talking about the grand finals against ONIC Philippines. If we're talking about regular season, of course, he's still up there, man. He's still amazing, and RRQ are amazing. It looks like they have no flaws in the regular season.
Right.
But it's against elite teams. We need to talk when we talk about RRQ, I think it's unfair to talk about them in the regular season anymore. Like they're the kings of that. That shit's easy for them,
I think in general we just talk about things on like a
high level.
On the high level.
Yeah.
Right. There's no point in us discussing
How do you beat Dewa?
Yeah, like low level, almost like things that are like not gonna be the highest level of competition. Because everything that works or ends up differently in the lower levels is gonna get exposed when you get to a higher level anyway. So we always base our discussions on like top level assumptions, I think.
Most consistent, inconsistent team for Aurora. Give me a check there. RRQ, big problem, Sutsujin, and then add in Rins, to be fair, right now. Put that on the checklist too, because, I don't know where to start. Firstly, okay, let's talk about the grand finals. Because for me, it looked like for a bit they already improved. Like they improved a lot from the first upper bracket finals against RRQ. In their match against Geek Fam, you definitely saw that. And the improvement was the realization of what their identity is, what made them super strong in the regular season, which I really like. That will still be a problem for them in the international stage, to be fair, but I'm glad that they identified it already.
Right.
You need to play for Dyron and Edok. I think even before the season started, I remember saying if RQ do well this season, it's all going to be Dyron Edok. And it is Dyron Edok. I don't know why they're more concerned. Now, again, I don't know if this is really true, but this is just my assumption. Face value from a caster analyst point of view. Why is it that RRQ are more concerned about proving people wrong over winning the championship? When they were last season, when they were called Skylar centric, when they were called Skylar Esports, they were more concerned about, okay, let's carry through other lanes. Sutsujin, let's give you carries. This guy, let's give you carries. Let's play around the other players. We're not Skylar Esports. They ended up losing to TLID, who were the more complete team. Now, against ONIC, the more complete team, again, they, instead of playing towards their strengths, went back and basically, I don't know, for me, it felt like they were thinking, how do we shut the doubters up? It's not about shutting doubters up through playing, okay? Like, it's not through not playing to your strengths. You don't shut the doubters up through trying to prove people wrong. You prove people wrong by winning. That's, I think, the number one thing. Why do we still see, after fucking 6 games, in the 6 games that they played in the grand finals before game 7, tell me who was the main carry for most of them? Edok, Dyron. Like, Toy was consistent. Don't get me wrong. Toy was amazing. But you need the playmakers.
He was also consistently on the Granger, by the way.
Yeah,
so
but,
there's that.
but still, Toy wasn't bad. Okay, I'm not saying the other members are bad. Actually, maybe Sutsujin and Rins were a bit like Rins low, Sutsujin here, mid, and then Toy was like pretty good. Dyron and Edok were like high level. So when the two guys, Dyron and Edok gets Kalea, oh my lord, a stomp. Dyron gets Phobius, oh my lord, a stomp. And then game 7, they were like, let's pick Baksha. I like it because, hey, Sutsujin on Baksha is amazing. But then they picked the last two picks of the blue side on RRQ game 7 were the 2 worst picks for RRQ. I'm not saying worse as in non-meta. I'm saying worse as in it clearly shows that they are not playing with their strengths. They picked Haya and Gatot. Not only did they pick Haya, they put Edok on a fucking Gatot Kacha, my boy. Or was it Dyron on Gatot Kacha? Anyways, Gatot and...
Dyron was on Baksha, I think.
Whatever, but like Baksha and Gatot on Dyron and Edok, you know? That's not how you win for RRQ. I don't know how we can stress this more because I think we've been saying this for the longest time.
I mean, it was already apparent since last season.
Yeah, and I gotta say, the pattern Arashi for RRQ has been like this forever. This is the history of RRQ.
All the way to M1.
M1, they want to prove that they can win without Harith. They ended up losing to EVOS. MSC 2022 was just kind of, well, they didn't hit the base. That was different. But then MPL, M4 up against Blacklist. They wanted to prove that they can beat Blacklist without banning the Estes. And then last season, they wanted to prove that they are not Skylar centric. This season, they wanted to prove that we're not just playing for Dyron Edok. Bro, it's okay to have glaring weaknesses, glaring strengths. Play with your strengths. Don't be scared of it, man.
Yeah, we were with Midnight, right, for this playoffs, and he was giving us a perspective of a coach, because we were asking him about it, and he was saying, like, your players, no matter how good your players are, like if you want to talk about ONIC, RRQ, ONIC PH, whatever, every single player and every single team has a strong suit. And there is really nothing wrong with leaning into it, provided it works. Provided it's not like you're not like a single strat merchant. You know what I mean? As long as you can't get easily countered, you have alternatives that are still pretty good. There's nothing wrong with like chasing that golden ticket that will get you to win games. He was making a case for, like, let's say ONIC PH even. Like they're really good with like playing for their jungle. Obviously King Kong and Kelra, right? Obviously. So fuck it. Like they never really like, draft to hardcore use Kirk as a carry, for instance, or like use Brusco as like the main carry. I mean, they're all really good. Don't get me wrong, but it's very clear that they know we have a top tier, arguably the best GOAT in the world, arguably one of the best junglers in the world right now. Why not play for them? And it's working.
Yeah.
And-
Even in the grand finals when they lost, it became like for me a good loss because it came down to individual skill. Like King Kong got Ling, Kelra got Harith. At least they were playing to their strengths. They just got beaten by the better team.
Joe, he's making a point on like coaches needing to know that like having to understand their players, but also knowing how to develop them even more. Because rounding them out is one thing. That's always good, right? But if they're not there yet, there's no point in forcing them to try and do some things differently when this is like their go-to. You're gonna end up watering down the strong suit and then having a subpar other strat anyways, right? I think a big example we can draw in real life comparison would be like Ronda Rousey. For all of you MMA people out there, Ronda Rousey is a grappler. She's like a submission person, and she had a coach that was going like, "Oh, you're the best boxer in the world. You can strike against any man. You can beat Mayweather." As an example, she ended up having shit grappling and shit striking, and then she just starts losing. So, point is, strong suits are fine, are completely okay, and if you want to round out your round out or even try out different strats, that's fine. But especially for the final game of the grand finals, dude, I feel like even if you wanted to, even if you really felt it's possible, like let's say in scrims, Sutsujin has been destroying everyone, absolutely everyone. Considering how the games have been going, and considering it's a final game, and what has been working is Dairon Edok as predicted, just go for it. Go for it, and then like next time, right? At EWC, bring out the Hayabusa, bring out the Assassins. I don't see the reason why you have to hinge so much on the final game, when everything matters. That's crazy.
You got time to develop. You got time to progress. These players are still very young. Edok and Rins and Toy, Edok and Rins have only played one season. This is his first season. It's already impressive what they have done. It's amazing. And that's why we have a lot of criticism to say about RRQ, because me personally, I'm not an RRQ fan, but I'm a fucking Kescute fan. I love Kescute, NMM. Those are my goats. And hey, I'm a big fan of Dairon too, all the way from Rebellion days. So I want RRQ to do well. Yeah, ONIC won. But here, I want to say this too. This is a message to Rins. Okay, personal message to Rins. Rins, you're an amazing player, bro. I'm not even joking, all right? Like, a lot of people will obviously shit on you for the panic moments, blah, blah, in the playoffs, grand finals, but you're an amazing player. I know you're an amazing player. I know you're a shot caller. You're an amazing shot caller, too. And this is why you have to stop trying to prove that you are better than someone else. I feel like in the grand finals, he was playing with a chip on his shoulder, something that kept on in his head that was like, prove you're better than Sans. Prove you are Sans. Prove you can beat him. Because he was constantly making these plays where it's like, oh, I want to get a solo kill on Sans. I want to show the world that
Feather airstrike duel.
Exactly. When the turtle was free to take for them, when he could have just taken you said this. Valentina, he already pushed Sans away. Sans was low. He should have just backed away, got turtle, and played it safe. But he wanted to prove that, like, oh, I am better. Rins, you don't need to prove to anyone that you're better than anyone. That will come with discipline. That will come with winning. Like, even if you're individually worse, you make up for it for like the leadership you bring to the table. You don't need to be Sans. You're Rins. So like, I really hope for the RRQ players, they don't try to like put this image in or put this idea behind their head or in their head that they need to be better than like the ONIC players. They need to be better because like they can be better in their own ways. You don't need to be
strong suit.
Exactly. You don't need to be as mechanically God-given as Kai, as Sans, as these fucking ONIC ridiculous players. But yeah, we love your RRQ. Hopefully you guys can come back. Hopefully MSC, you guys, improve because we want to see Indo, both not just ONIC, but ONIC and RRQ, and fuck, please BTR.
And as a final message from me at least, obviously I want the best for RRQ. And hopefully, like, they kind of figure out something that works. By all means, we're just assuming here. We have no idea what's going on in scrims. What did the coaches say? What did the players say? Right? There could be discussions behind closed doors that we're not privy to. That's fine. But yeah, we would at least want to have some clarity on the situation because some of the calls, some of the decisions, it feels like we don't really know where it's coming from. And as always, I'm outspoken on like transparency. I said the same thing for Tail ID representing us as well. We just want to know why. We just don't know how, especially as fans, you know, because it's we're passionate about it. You know, it involves us in a way because we are fans. So I feel like a lot of people are just confused, are just want some more answers, and you know, especially on the points for Rins, Sans himself mentioned that maybe Rins isn't like doing the right calculations when trying to go for those outplays. And again, we talked about this RRQ textbook, right? RRQ systematic. Well, you know, if you're not as instinctively adept as Sans is, there's no problem, bro. Like play with that system and just win. It's no issue at all because I'm pretty sure Sans isn't the shot caller for ONIC anyways. So people shit on Rins, but you have to understand he is making decisions. If he is indeed still the shot caller, he's making decisions for the team on top of those like 1v1s. In a way, that's very impressive because he was still doing crazy outplays, you know, especially when he gets that Farsa, he gets those moments. Yeah, fucking insane. I couldn't do that. That's a lot of mental strain. You know what I mean? So it's fully understandable. But again, if it's not something that's possible, that's feasible, maybe he needs some more time. He needs some more experience to get to that level where maybe he can be at least almost as good as Sans, but also a shot caller. Then that's fine. But if you're not there yet, brother, like you're already doing so much, dude. You deserve credit more than anything. So don't force it and then give these people, these haters online, an excuse to start hating on you for no reason.
There you go. I hope this message is like, I hope they take this message and listen to it because again, I want RRQ to do well in MSC, especially later on with ONIC. But that's why we're now going to be talking about ONIC. And I think there's not much to talk about ONIC because everything we said, even in our predictions, were already kind of true. They just needed to build on what they had in the regular season, and I think they did, you know. In the regular season, we saw glimpses. We saw the foundation being laid again by Yeb and by the team itself. Lutpi on carries has been amazing, but now he's also amazing on tanks, which I got to give credit to him for, because in the past, we've only really known Lutpi as the carry guy. He does well on Machas, CCs, Xborgs, but when he's placed on, you know, the tankier picks like the Glue, the Hylos, the not so flashy heroes, he doesn't do too well. He's doing well now. Kai is amazing. Sans is amazing. They're back to form. Baba Yeba, again, gotta say this. Baba Yeba believer since day one. I know a lot of people, most people are now saying like, oh yeah, Yeb is the key, blah, blah. But that wasn't what you said when he just joined, y'all. I remember y'all saying, nah, one guy can't have that much of a difference. Nah, the team was fucked. You know, it wasn't just a draft. Yeb won't fix all these issues. Hey, to the people who did say that, to the people who did say like, who trusted in Yeb, we're living with the W's right now because we expected Yeb to do this. We know Yeb is a father figure. We know Yeb was the guy. Even in the town group, I think I was the only one who spoke up about it, like in the town group saying no. Because I saw a lot of other people saying, nah, they're not going to do much. And I'm like, no, of course he is. But
Yeb.
Yeah, Yeb. That's it. I don't really have anything to say about ONIC. Oh, Savero, holy fucking shit. We actually labeled Savero as the choker gold lane in the playoffs. Like, we had a team full of chokers, me and Midnight, just like, and while we were talking about gold lane, we were talking about how Savero was the choker. And I didn't agree with him initially because I'm like, what, Savero choke? What do you mean? Midnight said, no, it's because you have to, if we're defining these players by choke, it's them performing right now to how good they can be. You know, like the potential versus the expectation versus the reality. And I think in the first 2 days where they played, day two and three, Savero was underperforming. Like he wasn't playing as clean as I expected. And I agreed with him. Yeah, he's not playing to his potential level. That's why I said, okay, you know what? I'll put him in the choker team too. We were doing this for fun, by the way. It wasn't like a content or anything. And then just grand finals came around. And we finally got to see how good Savero is. And that's why we were calling him, you know, like we were putting him in the choker gold lane in playoffs because we know how good he is. We know his potential. We know that he is supposed to be that good. It's just, unfortunately, bad calls, pressure, playing in front of the fucking stage. Again, Velodrome is amazing and the crowd is amazing. It gets to you. And finally, he's able to adapt to it. I am very proud of Savero. Like this guy has lived up to the expectations that were quite unrealistic to put on to him at the start. And I think both gold laners have done it. Savero and Toy. Toy replacing Skylar, Savero replacing CW. Big props to both Toy and Savero, man. They're fucking amazing. They're amazing.
Yeah, I like how the team like gives them like the trust almost. Like, because I'm pretty sure if like that's part of why I was thinking like why was Toy like on Granger so much? But I guess at the end of the day, like either he said it or there was discussion with the coaching staff with Keskute, and
this
exactly. So I mean, I think
bang Toy.
I think there's some trust there from Keskute. Like, oh, you think he works well here? You got the lane. It works in the composition. Go for it. So I think I agree. Both did very very well. And I think since we're on the topic of ONIC, gotta give shout out to the. I mean, if you saw ONIC social media page, they were shouting out the unseen members and
Yoda, Nile.
that too, but also their mental coach.
Yeah.
They made a whole post for their mental coach. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name
Same.
right now. And then and Greed, the analyst,
Paddington.
Paddington, oh man. So yeah, it shows you again that there's just layers to the performance on stage. It's not only about draft, about player performance, the whole mental component. We're talking about pressure, but maybe Savero like underperforming, maybe due to pressure and unfamiliarity. I guess that mental coach is something that really works. And I think they already had a mental coach before, and I believe that mental coach moved.
Listy, yeah, Listy.
Yeah,
she moved to PRX and then she's now with Navi.
Right. So my point is like they understand the importance of having that good mindset, and that's maybe something that a lot of teams can kind of like look towards, because again we have seen how the pressure can really crack some of these rookies. With Geek Fam as an example, that's unfortunately put it that way. So yeah, I think it's a great move to kind of move away from just like, oh, it's all about drills, it's all about VOD reviews, and trying to figure out like the mental state, the mindset, and how to recover from tough situations. Because man, some of those games in grand finals for both teams, I feel like a team with like less preparation, less mental training and mental preparedness would have crumbled, dude. It's a tough situation to be in, especially for some of the carries. And a game like that, dude, every single player had like their own moments, right? So imagine you're there, or especially for like game 7, game 6, game 7, the match point games. Imagine making a move that kind of like lost your team an advantage in that situation. That's some pressure, dude. I mean, we're in front of the camera all the time, but for them even more so, with the added pressure of like the winning or losing. Like we ain't gonna lose anything. This is just our job, Unless we lose our jobs, that'll be crazy. But yeah, so I think it's cool, and I think it's great that ONIC understand that, and they actively try and find ways to encourage, to help out with the development of that. And I think that's why that's part of the reason why ONIC's players just seem to be that much more developed. Like there's some moments where we're like, oh dang, maybe Lupi or Savero would have lost their focus here, but they didn't. So I think it's a bit of a show, a bit of evidence that it works, or at least it has an impact.
All right then. Shout outs to
long.
It's all good, man. Again, for ONIC, I think that's it. You have anything else? No, right?
I took enough time.
Yeah. So now we're just gonna get to the fun topics again. These are the two last topics that we have. Firstly, I guess we can talk about how do you think we're optimistic about our chances in MSC later on? Up against TLPH, against ONIC Philippines, do we have what it takes to beat them? Do we have what it takes to be competitive? And our expectations for MSC? You want to go start first?
Sure. I think, call me delusional, but I always think there is a chance.
Yeah.
Now, how big of a chance is a different situation here. I feel like it's decent, but it's definitely not like super high. Considering the fact that like obviously PH right now, that grand finals was crazy, and they highlighted not just like, oh, the PH players are crazy, but also the decision making and all that, the synergy. I feel like considering the competition, because it was such a high level grand finals, they saw a lot of different like aspects of both teams kind of highlighted, and that's a scary thing to see as an Indonesian supporter here, because I feel like maybe due to the fact that we just don't have that intense of a competition, this is like the closest it's been, and even then, it's still somewhat. You still somewhat have an idea, right? And even when teams, let's say like Evos, out of nowhere, surprisingly didn't make it to the playoffs, it's not because like, dang, so out of nowhere, Altrigo just went crazy. Yeah. Oh, it's out of nowhere, these teams just outperformed. like no, we can very clearly see the mistakes coming in from Evos and some of these other teams in Indo. So the fact that the top tier teams aren't pushing each other out, people are just kind of skidding on their own out of the race. That's a scary thing to say compared to PH. So I feel like we have a lower chance. Let's put it that way. I think it's possible, but it's definitely not all that high. But hopefully, with a pretty competitive grand finals, all 7 games, if they train a bit more, again, higher level competition, more weaknesses get exposed. Maybe if they see these weaknesses now, these factors now, the draft, the game plans, if they can fix some of that now, improve more, I think it's still gonna be an interesting, an eventful performance by Indonesia in EWC. But I'm not gonna go out and say like, oh yeah, they're gonna win everything. Not because I'm afraid of the backlash. That's not it. It's just like objectively speaking here.
Yeah, I think for me it's quite similar. I think for ONIC, I think we have a shot. Like ONIC are giving me vibes that again they are back to their prime again, and they probably can go up toe to toe against CLPH and ONIC Philippines. Even though it's going to be tough again, because these two teams are definitely the stronger teams now on paper. If we take a look at the track record as well, but ONIC ID definitely have what it takes to be there to maybe even beat some of these teams. For RRQ, it really depends on what version of RRQ are we getting. Are we getting finally a version that has let go of trying to prove people that prove to other people that they are not Dyron and EDOC centric, that Rins is just as good as Sans mechanically, stuff like that. If they feel like they are enough and they finally feel like they've identified those problems, identified their strong points, and can play to their strong points, I think we have a very scary RRQ coming to MSC.
The question for me is like, so there's going to be 2 ONICs and 3 ONICs in AWC. So
with female, yeah.
So where does Yeb stand?
Yeb will be ONIC ID.
So he's going to be fully with ONIC ID.
He'll be coaching ONIC ID.
I mean, I just find that like to be such an interesting situation to be in. Like, man, that has to be like complicated, man, honestly. But it's Yeb. He does things that he jumped from coach to VP. Right. So things that are unusual, I think it's beneath Yeb's level, man. He just does it.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting to see.
I think RQ has shown glimpses, so many glimpses of how good they can be. Again, it really comes down to how they improve from this point on. And I really hope, my expectation for RQ is losing your second grand final in what? 3rd time in a row, actually, because SPS MM, it was also them. So their 3rd grand finals in a row, I think should be good for them in a way.
Yeah.
Where they're like, okay, fuck, we're still not enough. We gotta keep on improving. I just hope the hunger doesn't disappear. I hope they don't get demoralized by the 3 losses. Yeah. I hope this fuels them up even more. That's what I expect. Again, for Keskid, for NMM, for these players, I know they got that hunger. Especially Dyron. He's never won. Even MDL, he lost in the grand finals. So Dyron's on a fucking hot streak of losing grand finals.
With insane performances.
I love Dyron. He's my favorite player on RRQ. Right now, it was Skylar before, but now it's Dyron. Dyron, you gotta win it, all right, buddy? All right, my goat.
Let's go.
But yeah. So yes, I think we do have a shot. I think we are pretty good as well, even though, the PH teams was pretty scary. I'm gonna be, DFYG gonna win everything. Super Ken. BTR, by the way. BTR, by the way. Anyways, all right. Last topic is gonna be international topic. So we're gonna let's talk about Malaysia first. Malaysia. So we had antagonist come in, Arashi. You remember?
Antagonist?
Yeah, antagonist. Antagonist came in to MPL ID and said, like, oh, yeah, in MPL Malaysia, there's only SRG. The others aren't as strong as SRG. And I think Chico also came and spoke about Malaysia a bit. They were we were talking about this, about Malaysia. And then they got hate for it, apparently. Like, the Malaysians apparently hated on them for it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, for saying that only SRG.
It's only SRG?
Yeah.
Well, should all of us deserve hate for saying it was only ONIC couple of seasons ago?
Exactly.
That was true, dude. It was ONIC and then everyone fighting for second place. That was statistically, objectively, analytically the case.
Yeah.
Like, I don't... Why? Like...
I agree too. So...
Are you supposed to be lying now? Like...
Yeah. MPL Malaysia, to put it simply, if you guys watch football, is the French league. You only have PSG. It's not that PSG are bad. It's just the rest of the competition aren't on the level of PSG. It's the same for SRG right now. I don't think it's a diss to any other teams. Because again, we're good friends of Erpang here. We're fans of Erpang. Veldora and Van are our boys. You know, they're Indonesian, so obviously we support them. We want homeboys to do
I was
well.
supporting Aero.
Yeah. Oh, he was obviously Hazel. I also love Hazel, my boy, my goat.
The black alien.
The black alien. But yeah, no, it's at this point, it's not hate, guys. It's not trying to like put MPL MY down. This is what you need technically. You need a strong team like SRG to dominate for the other teams to finally wake up, and we got it. Homeboys now have revamped their roster. A lot of teams have revamped their roster, and Malaysia's looking stronger because SRG were able to just dominate for such a long time, and now they've won again. I think it's another good call for the rest of the teams. Aero, for MV, DxSoul, all the other teams to continue progressing. Again, it was the same for MPLID, guys. We only had ONIC for the longest time, and that's why even us, the casters, we were all just saying it was ONIC. Like even when Evo's qualified a couple of times, we were like, no, Evos aren't gonna do shit. It's just ONIC. We're the ONIC league. It's okay.
Which is why exactly like the teams won't understand like how far behind they are until they're shown. And unfortunately, if it's just always international, then there's always going to be the talk about how, well, let's say like, oh, of course they're doing better. They're more used to the internationals. They have older players, more veterans, more experience, yada yada yada. But see, when you have a team, that has you can say it's because they have imports and they found ways to get some of that knowledge, some of that talent into their region. Some people are hating as if it's unfair, but first of all, it's allowed. That's part of the system. That's why there are rules surrounding like transfers. And along with that, now that disparity is visible in your own local league, I feel like it's a great factor, because then all these other teams are gonna have like a bit of a wake up call. Like, dang, wait, these guys are in this region. They live in the same area. They eat the same food, breathe the same air, and they're doing better than us, and they're outclassing us. And then that way, there's no excuse, And whatever the other teams have to do to match up to that level, they'll start doing, because they can see that it's possible and it has been done. So I feel like that's not a problem. When we're trying to fan the flames and say like, hey, bro, everyone else garbage. One team's gonna win everything, no questions asked. That's not like, oh, everyone just give up. Disband your teams, just stop the league altogether. No, it's like, get good. Because this one team is literally wrecking everyone. That's why Mirko said, like, oh, if ONIC wins again, might as well like look for something else to watch, because it's crazy. And it shouldn't be the case. If that is happening in your league, you should be upset, not because people are calling it out. You should be upset that, like, dude, come on, we gotta step up.
Yeah. The other teams.
That shouldn't be accepted. Like, this is a league, brother. We should be competitive. Which is why we as Indonesians are so happy that Indonesia finally, it seems like some real top tier coaches are coming in. Teams are developing, or at least getting closer to that standard. Some people might disagree, whatever. But I'm saying, like, this is, as always, every single time, one of the closer seasons of MPL so far. That's objectively true. And hopefully that continues, right? And the last thing we want is for one team to be that dominant again. So even now when ONIC's on top, we're not going like, great, ONIC, all right, screw everyone else. Screw Evo, screw RRQ. Don't clip that out of context, okay?
Screw them all.
Yeah, but no, we're like, okay, RRQ, okay, Evos, Altrico, come on. Like, you gotta step up here. And you have a blueprint.
Yeah.
You have someone, again, who has the same citizens as their staff. They live in the same areas, eat the same food, drink the same water, Like, this is something you can do, and you can kind of observe and copy. Do they have a mental coach? Get a mental coach. Do they have a new like training facility or a new form, a new way of training? Word gets around, man. Indonesians, for better or worse, we talk a lot. That's why Mirko gets a lot of info. I'm not as social, so I don't get as much. But word gets around, man. So take what you think will help you out and ignore the rest. And hopefully you'll catch up to the ONICs, the SRGs, the whatever. So I feel like that should be an encouraging thing in a way.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is definitely, okay, this is the last topic, okay? MPLPH, so there's been a little controversy about the acrylic medals that I just showed you before we started recording.
Right.
VYs, Dogi, everybody, even, I think even Liquid were very vocal in basically saying like, holy shit, what is this, Because for a region with literally almost all the world championships, going there, like all the world champions are in the Philippines, M2 all the way to M6, except for M1, yeah. for them to be that bad, like the trophies, it doesn't, because like, even Kelra said that MPL Philippines is harder to win than M6. Which right now is kind of true for him because he won everything internationally, but he just lost another MPL to TLPH. But it doesn't feel like it's harder because of the fucking trophy. I mean, because of the things they get, you know? Like they get, just as comparison, you watch ID, and this is why, God bless, I love ID. I love our sponsors. I love everything about our production as well. It's amazing. I think season 15 was fucking amazing. Blew my expectations out of the water. They get fucking Samsung S25 Ultras, every single one of them. That's number one. They get a fucking golden ring, baby. UBS gold. Let's go.
You saw, yeah.
Yeah. The finals MVP gets a golden finger, bro. Like legit a golden finger. Like a golden thumb. There's a oh my God. And then obviously they get really cool medals. That's also sponsored by UBS Gold. So this has been a thing, guys, for Philippines for the longest time. I don't know why it's so surprising anymore. Because like now it's becoming a point of discussion. Everybody's saying, "Oh man, what do you think about this?" I've been saying this for a while. Like, unfortunately, I don't want to diss, productions and stuff because again, I work with them. I know how bad it is. I know how hard it is to make a good show. But there are levels to this game. When it comes to sponsors and everything, ID has everyone else beat, right? Because ID has the most exposure, viewership. We broke M6. We had more viewers finals than M6 World Championship Grand Finals.
Damn.
So that's the reality right now. Like in Indonesia, it's mainstream. MLBB is fucking mainstream, and that's why we're getting so much more. We're getting better with production. We're getting bigger stages. We're getting better venues. We're getting better prizes and gifts and sponsors. It's the nature of the league. I really hope though, Moonton in the future. Because for the longest time, I feel I've heard this a couple of times from people. Moonton development MLBB and Moonton Esports are different. Moonton, here's a message from a caster. Obviously, this benefits me too, by the way, so take it with a grain of salt. Esports is what makes your game grow. If it wasn't for the esports, the game would be dead. Same with all the other competitive games out there. If it wasn't for the competitive side, CS would be dead. Dota would be dead. Dota is kind of dead. League of Legends would be dead. Like Valorant would be dead as fuck. It's the competitive side, esport, that pushes it to be as big as it is.
Because
so
it's a competitive game.
Because it's a competitive game, it's built for it. So Moonton, you need to start putting a bit more budget into MLBB esports, not just into skins. Like we get amazing skins, we get crazy trailers and everything. I love that. But maybe it's time for us to finally get like a bigger stage for M Series, right? Bigger prize pool, especially with MSC here, guys. I'm not even joking. At this point, my whole quote of like MSC is not a world championship. At this point, the players see the not world championship as a better prize for them. It's $3 million fucking dollars over the world championship, But yeah, they have to find a way to make it better for everyone.
To be fair, like EWC is a bit of I think everyone's been very vocal about this. Somewhat unrealistic to expect EWC like level
Saudi money.
of funding, Saudi money. So
W Saudi.
But I feel like, yeah, a bit more would help in the long run, especially for like the smaller regions, right? If you really want this game to kind of take root and develop and have its own cult following in the other regions where it's not mainstream just yet, that's gonna take some time, right? And some funding, some effort, and I just feel like it's. I think as people involved in the show, for us, we see the potential. We see what could be, and it's just not there just yet. In our opinion, at least, in our humble opinion. Like, what do we know? We're casters. Some would say, fine, but that's our opinion as casters. I feel like it could be better.
That's why it's beneficial for us. So take it with a grain of salt.
And again, we talked about like looking at like what already works and stealing what works in a team sense, in a production sense. Dude, there's plenty of esports scenes across the world that we kind of follow as a competitive esports viewers, right? As a fan of esports in general. And that's where we kind of draw some of the things like, dang, if Mobile Legends can be more like this, or can do something like what this game does, like this production does, that'll be sick, dude. Because we're fans. We enjoy the shows too.
Yeah. I hate Dota, but again, when it comes to what's it called? What's it called? The TI, the documentary.
True Sight.
Yeah, True Sights. Like I think that's fucking insane. It's sick. I don't like the game. I don't watch it. But like I can see how good the production is. Like the filming, the players being fucking like the players being able to voice out what they think. We don't have players like that. Also, players get step up, bro. When a production tells you to talk, fucking talk, you little pussy.
And production, when players do talk, like come on, bro. Like you gotta support them. If
Muntan, if you stop a player from showing their expressions, never expect the documentary to be good. Okay?
Yeah, like, when they voice out shit and they get backlash, like everyone who's involved, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's Mootong, whether it's production, whether it's casters, we need to back each other up, bro. Because like again, fans are one thing, and there's always going to be strong opinions, and the negativity is going to be always louder than the positivity. But where it matters is like that's where we have to kind of step in and like join and show support, which is why we're pretty.
Yeah.
I'm not even all that vocal, but sometimes I do try and like send a DM here and there, like, "Yo, bro, keep it up, man. I know people be talking shit and all that, but like, you're cool. Keep it up. You got to do that shit. And that's part of what makes a great scene, a great show. If you see a movie, right, that doesn't have any stakes, nothing bad ever happens, that's a shit movie. Come on, dude. You guys, I know some of you isekai friends out there like that, like those shows where like the guy comes in and he's just OP. Right? But even those shows have like low points, so you can kind of appreciate the high points even more. Right? So if isekai tropes can do it, come on, man. As esports people, we gotta be able to do the same thing. The bar ain't that high.
What he said. I don't know how I can like utilize a anime reference here to fit the agenda, but we'll just take what Arashi said. Thank you so much, Arashi, for being here again. MiRecap. This is the first impromptu MiRecap. More of these.
Rehearsal, bro.
We're gonna go rehearsals. We're already 4 minutes late. See you guys.